Okay, so Rivian Automotive Inc., an electric vehicle startup, went public today and jumped by more than a third in their market debut, the latest indication of the strong investor interest in the EV market. Now, the stock opened at $106.75 above its initial public offering price of $78 and giving the company a market value of more than $100 billion. That market value puts Rivian above many other automakers, including Ford Motor Company and General Motors Company. So what we're going to discuss here is four things. Number one, what is Rivian Automotive and is it worth investing in? Can you make money in it right now? Number two, who is the CEO? Number three, is its valuation justified? And number four, some other electric vehicle companies or EV investment options. And if you appreciate this information being boiled down so it's easy to understand, please click the like button below so YouTube promotes it. And if you're new here or just need a friend, please click the subscribe button so my videos will show up in your YouTube feed more often. Now, the startup based in Irvine, California has attracted investors with its big ambitions to bring electric vehicles to the mainstream, including rolling out battery electric version of the industry's most popular vehicle, namely SUVs and trucks. In addition, it has attracted backing from the blue chip investors like Ford and Amazon. They put money into the company. The nearly $12 billion in funds raised by the IPO will allow Rivian to increase production and speed development of future vehicle models, said founder and chief executive officer RJ Scringe on Tuesday. The company's IPO haul was the largest for a listing in the U.S. exchange since 2014 and the seventh largest since 1995, according to Dealogic. So who is this guy, the CEO? Robert Joseph, or RJ Scringe, is an American automotive entrepreneur, executive, and engineer. He's the founder and CEO of Rivian. Now, in addition to consumer and commercial vehicles, Scringe has also driven Rivian into the charging infrastructure and energy technology fields. Now, Scringe was born in 1983 and grew up in Rockledge, Florida, on Florida's Space Coast. He's the son of an engineer. He grew up with a keen interest in classic cars as a child, and as soon as he was old enough to handle tools, he rebuilt a Porsche 356 for his neighbor in his parents' garage in Melbourne, Florida. And by the age of 18, he was committed to the idea of building his own vehicle brand. Now, he founded the company in Florida in 2009 after completing his PhD in mechanical engineering at the Sloan Automotive Lab at MIT. Okay, so if he was born in 1983 and graduated at age 18, then 4 years of undergrad and 4 years of PhD work. Okay, 1983 plus 26 years of school, that's 2009. And 2009 is when he started his company. Now, his aim was to create a line of highly desirable, environmentally friendly vehicles. And he says, quote, "The IPO represents an opportunity to accelerate how quickly we can go." Speaking from the company's factory in Normal, Illinois, "We have to go build a lot of vehicles, and the money will aid Rivian in its efforts to establish new manufacturing plants and secure battery supplies through partnerships and working on its own proprietary technology," Scringe said. Now, as an interest on Wall Street for battery electric cars has risen, investors have funneled billions into automotive startups like Rivian, hoping to replicate the success of Tesla. In fact, speaking of Tesla, that electric vehicle pioneer's share price has gained more than 1,100% since the start of last year as it became the world's most valuable automaker. Now, last month, as you likely know, Tesla's market value for the first time crossed $1 trillion. Now, with its listing, Rivian joins luxury electric car maker Lucid Group. Now, see our video on Lucid we just made. And Chinese firms Xpeng, that's Xpeng Inc., and Li Auto Inc., and that's Li space Auto Inc., as largely unprofitable automotive startups that have gone public since last summer. Now, these new challenges are commanding valuations that rival some of the more traditional automakers that sell millions of vehicles a year. Now, Rivian lost $2 billion from the start of 2020 through this June and plans to deliver around 1,000 vehicles by year's end, according to the company's filing. Its more than $100 billion valuation surpasses that of backer Ford, which is about $80 billion, I checked today. which sold 4.2 million vehicles last year, and has told investors to expect delivery of a full-year operating profit of more than $10.5 billion in 2021. That's Ford. Now, Rivian began delivering its first model, an electric pickup truck called the R1T, to consumers in September. And by the end of the year, it plans to launch additional models, an all-electric SUV called R1S, and a delivery truck developed in conjunction with Amazon.com, which according to company filings owns roughly 19% of Rivian. So again, Amazon invested a lot of money in Rivian. So the market for electric vehicles is relatively small, but growing quickly. Electric vehicles accounted for 3.6% of the total U.S. auto sales in October, according to analysts at Morgan Stanley. And the Biden administration is pushing to hasten the transition to electric vehicles as part of its efforts to reduce the country's greenhouse gas emissions. And to do so, it is pushing to expand purchase incentives for electric car buyers. Today, buyers of the first 200,000 Rivian vehicles are eligible for a $7,500 federal tax credit that can help defray the upfront costs of purchasing a battery-powered model. Now, Mr. Scrin said that the initiatives would help accelerate the adoption of electrical vehicles, but weren't crucial to his company's future. He said, quote, "It's important for any business, not just us, to design the business around them. We view them as short-term in nature." Now, Ford, additionally, has a roughly 12% stake in Rivian, having taken a position in the upstart in 2019 after beating out crosstown rival GM for the critical investment. Now, the $1.2 billion that Ford has invested is now worth roughly $9 billion at Rivian's fully diluted valuation. Now, other large Rivian shareholders include asset manager T. Rowe Price Group and Cox Enterprises. Now, Rivian's path to becoming a public company began in 2009 when Mr. Scringe founded the company in the same year he finished his doctorate in mechanical engineering, just like we said, at the MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And the company purchased a former Mitsubishi Corp assembly plant in Normal, Illinois for around $16 million in 2017, which has since been retooled to make its first models. Now, analysts have said that with Rivian planning to rapidly launch 3 new models, it could confront challenges of scaling up its production operations. Historically, other automotive startups have struggled in the area of manufacturing quality, and launching multiple models in quick succession would even be difficult for some well-established automakers, they say. Now, Rivian's production has been slowed this year by supply chain issues like so many companies. Quote, "You could have 99.9% of suppliers ramping up at the right rate, but if 0.5% are ramping more slowly, that becomes the throttle," Mr. Scrin said. Now, internal discussions around adjusting vehicle pricing weren't out of the norm for the industry, he said. So should you double down and plow a bunch of money into Rivian? My opinion, and again, this isn't investment advice, just my opinion. I'm just some guy on YouTube, so don't take my advice. My opinion is that I think it would be a disaster. Maybe a little bit of money in Rivian would be good. If you plow a whole bunch of money in there, there's so much competition now. Its valuation is way out of line with what it's actually producing. It's valued right now for what people think it will be worth in the future. Will it live up to expectations just because Tesla has skyrocketed? Who knows? Maybe you can put a little money into it and watch what it does. So at these valuations, you're making Amazon rich, you're making Ford rich because they were big investors and the CEO. So I would be very careful at these valuations and not plow a bunch of money into it. Just my opinion. Competition for electric cars is heating up in the marketplace, with both startups and legacy automakers rushing to roll out new plug-in models that could directly compete with those offered by Rivian. Now, GM plans to revive the Hummer nameplate as an electric pickup truck, with its first deliveries coming later this year. Ford has unveiled an electric version of its best-selling F-150 pickup truck, set to start production in 2022, and both companies aim to compete as well with Rivian's commercial vehicles. Ford has recently debuted an electric transit van aimed at commercial fleet operators, and earlier this year, GM said it would start a new business line called Bright Drop, focused on making electric trucks for delivery fleets. And to put this in perspective, Mr. Scrin said he welcomed the competition, saying that the industry would need to produce upwards of 1 billion new electric vehicles in the next 2 decades as it transitions from gas-powered models to electric ones. It's just staggering, he said. That's not a situation in which there's going to be a single winner. If you like this video, please click like, subscribe, and share this video with others. Thanks for watching. This is The Business Guy.